Yes, y'alls. Back to the long form over here at the Solomon Project, where it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns. Welcome back. Currently on I-85, headed north from Hotlanta to Charlotte, North Carolina. I wanted to film a little bit of downtown Atlanta, but for some reason my camera was acting up, so I couldn't get it in. Ooh, sounds personal, I know. But at least we catch some footage on our way out. We have exited Atlanta, currently on I-85. I think the last time I did a long form while driving, I was headed toward Sweetwater, Texas. I think I made the mistake of saying that I was going, well, I was headed in the direction of Odessa, but the closest I got to Odessa was after I dropped off in Sweetwater and went over to, don't remember the name of the town, but I was 23 miles shy of Odessa. And if you've never been out to Odessa, you got a lot of oil fields out in Odessa. In fact, while you're driving, if your vent is open on your car, you can smell the oil, you can smell the petroleum, and you have a lot of oil wells, you have a lot of refineries, a lot of desert, some farming, some cattle ranches. It's interesting. It wasn't in me to film at that time, and not only that, I was going back and forth with a variety of people on the phone, so it was difficult for me to film while I was driving out there. But I'll try to capture as much as many recordings as I possibly can while on the road. As I'm traveling in Arkansas on I-40, a gentleman in a car started pointing at my truck. Usually when somebody's pointing at your truck, something's loose or something's going on. So I pulled over onto the shoulder, came out, and discovered what was wrong. Thank you to that person, that passenger in the car that pointed at the truck, and it compelled me to go and pull over onto the shoulder. Now, where I pulled over, there was a Jersey barrier. If you guys don't know what a Jersey barrier is, next time you're on the highway, look to the right, you might see a metal barrier. That's what we call the Jersey barrier. So in the spot where I pulled over on the shoulder, there was a Jersey barrier. I mentioned this for a reason. Now, when I got out of the truck, it was nerve-wracking. I must have been about maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet away from the white line that separated the highway from the shoulder, and there was enough traffic so that the trucks that were driving by, who were on the right lane, couldn't move over to the left lane, which they're supposed to, but there was too much traffic on the left lane for them to be able to accomplish that. And when they go by, you can feel it. I mean, you can really feel it when they go by. And it's nerve-wracking. I started down the side of the trailer to try to figure out, see if there was anything hanging, anything loose. I didn't find anything, so I walked all the way to the rear of the trailer. Nothing. Looking at the rear of the trailer and turning around to make sure there's no oncoming vehicle distracted at 70 miles an hour, ready to smash me. So I got on the passenger side of the truck where it was safer, still looking around, still trying to figure out what that person was pointing to. I didn't see anything. I'm going toward the front. Nothing. No airlines hanging, no electrical cables hanging, no bungee cords hanging. Nothing about ready to fall. I look up, I look down, I look underneath. I don't see anything. When I go around toward the front of the truck and I'm getting ready to go to the door and open it, I'm waiting for for there to be a gap in the traffic so that I could feel at ease as I go toward the door. And as I'm going toward the door, I look down and there it is. My steer tire, aka my front tire, is flat. It's not all the way flat, but it's flat enough. It is noticeably flat. Not good. Very unsafe. So I made the necessary phone calls, emails, whatever, to notify the company that I need somebody to head out there and replace that tire. I thought about it, and I really didn't want to move and damage the rim, but where I was parked, for somebody to come out there and replace that tire, it would have been too close to the actual traffic, and I thought it'd be a whole lot safer if I found a spot along the shoulder that didn't have the Jersey barrier so that I can move further away from traffic. So I went ahead maybe a mile or so. I went nice and slow. I didn't want to damage the rim. There was still a little bit of air in the tire, so the rim didn't make contact with the ground. And I found a spot where I can pull over even further to the right so that the person who was going to replace my tire would have some more space. I wouldn't say enough space, but more space. It took 9 hours for the people to show up and replace the tire. Of the 9 hours, 8 hours and maybe 20 minutes was the actual wait time for these people to arrive. That complicated things a great deal for that delivery. A great deal. I could have made it on time, but the reality is I would have been up. In order for me to make it on time, I would have had to stay up for 24 hours. I think I stayed up 20 hours. And once my body said, I'm tired, I wasn't going to play games. It's extremely dangerous to drive a truck when you're fatigued. So I pulled over, took a 3-hour nap, and arrived there later, but I caught them just before they closed. And they closed at 2:30 in the afternoon. I got there at 2. after the tire was replaced and I was waiting for a receipt, I walked up to, there were 2 pickup trucks. I walked up to the one that was furthest ahead and waited. And while I was waiting, the person in the vehicle was telling me to look by my trailer to see if there's any paint or spray paint on the ground. So I checked it out, and there was spray paint right alongside the area where I was parked. When I came back and told him, yeah, there's some spray paint. He said that's the marking of where another truck driver who had pulled over on that same spot that was unalived. He was impacted by a vehicle. Actually a truck, another truck. And that got me thinking, because I've seen plenty of rescue trucks, repair trucks. I've seen plenty of repair trucks show up to trucks parked along the shoulder, and it's crazy enough to think that you can get severely injured by a tire blowing up. Severely injured. But when you're headed out to replace a tire for a vehicle on the highway, on the shoulder, and the tire that they have to replace is on the traffic side, not only do you have to worry about, well, in the case of trucks, because they occupy more space on the shoulder, which makes it more difficult. You got less space to work with if you're the mechanic. Not only do you have to concern yourself with the replacement of that tire and the hazards associated with tires blowing up on you, now you got to contend with the traffic. And I want to remind everybody that by law, trucks are supposed to move over by law. So if you're driving alongside a truck and there's a vehicle on the shoulder, try to be conscious of that and allow the truck to move over. Try not to box the trucker out so that they have to stay on the right lane. Because as that truck is driving by, just the force from the air can cause a person to lose their balance and potentially wind up underneath the wheels of that truck. So please, while you're driving, pay attention to the shoulder also. If there's a vehicle on the shoulder, the truck that's ahead of you has to move over by law. But if you prevent them from moving over, well, you're endangering the life of any mechanic that's trying to replace a tire on the traffic side of a truck or even a car. Please try to keep that in mind. It is so dangerous. Now, let me see what's going on here. Speed limit here is 70 miles, but this truck is governed at 65. This is a 3-lane highway. The right lane is for the cruising lane for trucks. The center lane is our passing lane. It's the truck driver's passing lane. So whenever the truck driver has to pass a vehicle in front of them, they do it on the center lane, and they're supposed to come back to the right lane once they pass the vehicle. In this area here, we're not allowed to be on the left lane. Oh my goodness, what is going on with this thing? So, folks, listen. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm wobbling side to side because this pavement is uneven. Okay, so can you see ahead? Can you see the vehicle on the shoulder? I'm gonna start moving over. I'm gonna start moving over. Once I pat, see the truck is starting to move into the right lane where we're supposed to be cruising. I'm done passing the vehicle on the right and the one on the shoulder, so I'm gonna head on over to the right lane. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that one. Please don't forget, if there's a vehicle on the shoulder, truck drivers are supposed to move over by law. So stay fresh and keep it profitable. What the heck?
Arabam Dacia, seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedi kimseden fayda. İşler